Well, this morning, our conversation is quite simple. Really simple. Direct to the point. Easy. It's going to be about the things that President Dr. William RUTO is still promising Kenyans. One, in 10 years, Kibra, the slum, the biggest in Africa, is going to be an estate. Simply put, the president has said in 10 years, Kibra will not be there. In 10 years. So, how many years does he have? 10? 9? Well, it's up to him. I didn't know what he meant. So, if that is going to happen in 10 years, then today we should be seeing a lot of construction going on at Kibra. I don't think I've seen any trucks moving over the other side because time is running. We talk about that this morning. Number two, that is spoken to Elon Musk, who's going to employ 50,000 people, and negotiated with Google, Apple, to employ 300,000. But let me tell you, there's something here that I want us to look at. So, if Google is going to employ 300,000, Elon is going to employ 50,000. Elon and all the companies that he has. We're talking about Tesla and X. That means currently, by the way, now listen to this. Currently, Google has 174,014 employees. Intel, 122,200. Apple, 164,000. In total, these three globally have around 460,000 employees. Directly. Those are direct employees. So how can these companies then turn around and hire 300,000? No, just indulge me. No, so they have 460K direct employees, and by the way, they've been talking about heavy job cuts. You did see exactly what happened at X when Elon Musk took over. Heavy job cuts, same tech company. If you look at the NASDAQ index, which is essentially technology companies, it's not been doing that very okay, and they're talking about heavy job cuts. So the president has said that these companies are going to employ 300,000 Kenyans. So Google, Intel, Apple is going to add an additional 100,000 Kenyans. Divide by 3, that is. Oof. I don't know. I don't know. Oh yeah, and this morning we talk about the importation of yellow maize into the country. And that is essentially pegged at alleviating the cost of living. Wait, they said harvesting was going to start, and while the rest of them were in the streets with sufurias on their heads, they were in the farm. So where's our maize? Where's our maize? They say they're not going to get into imports. They were going to support farmers locally with fertilizer. So where's our maize? It's been 1 year. My name is Simba Kiage, online at Lookuptv, across all your social media platforms. Take you straight to the newspapers this morning. Interesting, on the Daily Nation this morning, that particular story that we opened our session this morning is covered right there. That I'll transform Kibra in 10 years, declares RUTO as he votes for his housing plan. 10 years? 10 years. So it's going to start today. 10 years. That means it's going to be in office up to 2033. Best he can do is up to 2032 if he gets a second term. 10 years. All right. Read that particular story on our page 4. On page 12, we're going to read about how 6 in 10 Africans living in diabetes not aware of their condition. That's huge. That's on page 12. But the biggest story here is a death on campus. College should be a place where students go to acquire knowledge and hone essential life skills. But it's becoming all too common for parents to pick up their bodies and shatter dreams of their children. Why does it happen? Who's at fault? And how can young people get help? That particular story covered on our page 2. Stories, just images there of young lives that have been lost in our campus, state of affairs, by the way. In sports, today, we're talking about how Kenya's Sebastian Sawe claims his first global title in the men's half marathon at the inaugural World Athletics Road Running Championships in Riga yesterday. We're also talking about Perez Chepchirchir wins a third World half marathon at the inaugural World Athletics Road Running Championships. Also read about that story on pages 38, 39, and 40 of the Daily Nation. Good. That's exactly what it is. On the back page, it is 5-star Kenyans show world a clean pair of heels on a Riga street. Good. I was looking for the Man United story. I wanted to see exactly what the dailies are talking about. It got nothing on them. Completely nothing. I think they've also given up. Good. We move on to the Standard. This morning, they're talking about the puzzle of a government living large. Economists reacting to the Control of Budget report say that in spite of the cost of living going through the roof, state officials are yet to tame their spending habits, splashing money with a wanton abandon on things that can be avoided. That particular story covered on page 4 of the Standard. Also, Kuppet bosses call for a review of the education report. Read that particular story on page 2. Animal feeds makers in the soup over prices. Read that particular story on page 28. And there's a story here on security. Haiti mission not a walk in a park. So they're saying veterans and civil society warn Kenyan police are ill-prepared to take on the ruthless gangs in the Caribbean. Read that particular story on page 6 of the Standard. And really the particular story on how Kenyans are showing their might on the World Athletics stage has been covered on the last page of the Standard this morning, where we can see exactly how they performed yesterday. Leading results from women's 5 kilometers, men's 5 kilometers. In fact, we did achieve gold, silver, bronze in each of those competitions that went down yesterday. You can actually see exactly how that was a stellar performance, essentially, on the international stage. Well, those are some of the stories that you are waking up to this morning. And by the way, majority of this, if not all of them, have also been covered on our website on www.lookuptv.co.ke. Some of them is exactly what we're going to talk about this morning. Take a tiny breather. Once we come back, I'll be taking you straight to the newsroom. All right. Now, President William RUTO says the government will offer 100% scholarships to at least 45,000 students joining various universities and TVETs across the country in a bid to cushion the vulnerable in the society. The president also hinted at the nation's government partnering with county governments through providing meals to school-going children.
President William RUTO has today said the government will give 45,000 students joining universities and TVET 100% scholarship to help the vulnerable, as the funding system in universities has changed, terming it as the bottom-up agenda.
Mwaka huu peke yake tutapatia scholarship 100% katika university watoto 45,000. 45,000 will get 100% scholarship. Wengine hapo katikati watapata 80% scholarship.
On matters of keeping kids in school through the feeding program, the president says the 2023-2024 budget allocation for the education ministry is enough to ensure that there is enough food in schools, mainly in the arid and slum areas.
Katika budget yetu ya mwaka huu tumeongeza pesa ya kuhakikisha kwamba kuna chakula shuleni. Katika mashule zetu kuna sehemu kame, sehemu zingine zenye umaskini mkubwa, sehemu za vitongoji hapa Nairobi. Watoto wengi hawaendi shuleni kwa sababu wako na njaa. Na ndio tumesema this year tutaongeza watoto wale watapata chakula shuleni kutoka watoto 1.5 mpaka watoto 4 every year.
He later rubber-stamped the Nairobi County School Feeding Program Initiative with 250,000 pupils benefiting from it.
Na mimi nataka nishukuru county ya Nairobi. Wameshirikiana na sisi, wameweka mpango ya kuhakikisha kwamba watoto wetu Nairobi 250,000 hapa Nairobi wanapata chakula.
President William RUTO was speaking when he attended a church service in Lang'ata, Nairobi, where he was accompanied by Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja and Nixon Korir, among other leaders. Reporting for Lookup, I'm Jengi Timothy.
And they could not.
All right, let's move on this morning to the next story, where President William RUTO has pledged to eradicate slums in the area of Nairobi and other parts of the country within the next 10 years. Speaking on Sunday while attending a church service at Deliverance Church International in Lang'ata, Nairobi, RUTO said his administration will build affordable houses for low-income earners, especially in Kibra, with the aim of giving the slum dwellers a decent home and creating employment for the youth.
Kibera, one of the biggest slums in Africa, is about to experience a complete transformation to become an estate in a period of 10 years. All this is to be achieved through the Affordable Housing Project, which seeks to give Kenyans living in informal settlements a decent home.
Na vile vile tunaondoa watu kwa slum. Hii Kibera slum iko hapa na zile slum ziko Nairobi. Kwanza hii ya Kibera, in 10 years hakutakuwa na slum hapa. There will be no slum. Hii tutakuwa tumeibadilisha, imekuwa estate. Na ndio mliona tulisukuma kabisa mambo ya housing fund. Watu wamenipigia kelele kidogo, lakini watakuja kugundua ya kwamba hii ni kitu mzuri. Hii itatusaidia wa vijana wapate ajira, Wakenya tupate manyumba, tuishi katika mahali kuna heshima, mahali kuna maji, kuna stima, kuna barabara.
The government seeks to construct 200 units in each of the 290 constituencies. So far, the project has kicked off in Soweto B, in Kibera, Ruiru, Pangani, Starehe, Shauri Moyo, Homa Bay and Mavoko. On the issue of unemployment among the youth, the head of state says the project will significantly help in providing jobs for Kenyan youth.
Tuko na vijana wengi Nairobi hawana ajira. Na sio Nairobi peke yake, Kenya mzima. Hiyo mpango ya housing sababu yake ni mbili. Ya kwanza sio manyumba zaidi, ni ajira zaidi. Nilikuwa hapa Mkuru juzi on Monday na fikiri Tuesday. Hapo tunajenga nyumba 15,000. Na mpango yetu ni kuwa na vijana 4,000 hapo Mkuru peke yake wanaofanya kazi. Hapa Nairobi peke yake mpango yetu ni kwamba in the next 5 years tuwe tumejenga at least nyumba 200,000. Tuhakikisha kwamba vijana wale wako Nairobi hapa wanapata ajira.
President RUTO reiterated his commitment to making sure that Kenyans find decent jobs both in the country and abroad, saying that he has entered into bilateral agreements that seek to see Kenyan workforce shipped abroad.
Tunakamilisha bilateral labor agreements na nchi karibu 12 mahali wanataka Wakenya wafanye kazi. Na tumebadilisha sasa, Wakenya hawataenda kufanya sasa ati kazi ya domestic work. Sasa we have signed bilateral agreements ambayo ni ya semi-skilled, skilled jobs and professional jobs.
Brian Amwai, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
That particular story has really got Kenyans talking. So in the next 10 years, we will not be having Kibra slum. It will be Kibra estate. So you better start preparing yourself then. It's the president saying, not me. said it's going to be an estate. Let's move on. Trade Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria says he fully supports the bipartisan talks happening at the Bomas of Kenya. As a co-chair of the talks, Kalonzo Musyoka calls for the Kenya Kwanza team to give dialogue a chance following utterances that seem to dismiss the talks. Now, the leaders were speaking during a church service in Machakos, where Ukambani leaders also used the chance to call for respect for Kalonzo Musyoka, saying he is the Ukambani kingpin.
As the fate of the bipartisan talks now hung in the balance following a petition at the courts that have termed the talks illegal, CS Trade Moses Kuria now says he fully supports the bipartisan talks, saying they intend to bring peace in the country. Kuria was speaking during a church service in Machakos, where Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka called on the Kenya Kwanza side to stop downplaying the talks.
Ile kazi unafanya pale katika mambo ya dialogue, mambo ya bipartisan, mimi kwangu niko hapo ndani kabisa. I am one person who is supporting these bipartisan talks fully. Na sio kwa sababu mimi ni muoga. Hata watu wengi mimi wananijua mimi ni mtu ya vita. Lakini vile mimi mnajua ni mtu ya vita. Ikikuja mambo ya amani, mimi ndio mtu ya amani zaidi hata vile mtu wa vita. Na kuna wakati wa amani na kuna wakati wa nini? Wa vita.
We discussed. Akasema mahali hiki tumefika, wacha sasa tupatie msukumo wa mwisho. Na nikamshukuru William Ruto kwa sababu yeye pia ameunga mkono mambo haya. So in between, inaonekana shida ya dialogue in Bomas is really not, it needs to be localized somewhere around hapo kwenu Moses Kuria. Go and talk to them. Localize kidogo.
The opposition leaders in attendance took a swipe at some of the proposals submitted to the dialogue committee, especially on the increasing of presidential term limit, as they call on the government to give priority to the most important things, which are the high cost of living.
Hii mambo ya taxation, tumefika mahali, we are not going to help you anymore, Moses and Kenya Kwanza government. We will not help you. We will continue to tell our people, we did our best. Tuliandamana, tukasema maisha imekuwa impossible, amusikii. Bas, wacha miaka inayokuja Mungu atujalie. We remind you, you cannot develop a country with heavy taxation.
Cherargei wakati tunahisi uchungu, amesema anataka kuongeza miaka ya uongozi wa Kenya. Sasa mkiongeza miaka ije tena another 7 years. Na mnajua kweli Kenya hii, nasema wacha tuseme ukweli, kiti ilikuwa Central Kenya, ikatoka Central ikaenda Rift, ikakaka ikarudi Central, sasa imeenda Rift, na mnasema muongeza miaka 7, na sisi wengine tutafikiwa lini?
The Ukambani leaders also demanded respect for the Wiper leader, castigating DP Gachagua for undermining Kalonzo when he visited the area.
Rikiji, ukikuja Ukambani, pea Wakamba heshima. Usitukane Kalonzo. Kwa sababu akianza kuongea Kalonzo, akiendelea Kalonzo, akimaliza Kalonzo. Na sisi tunasema this is our father. If you don't respect him, we will not respect you.
Na nakwambia bila kukuficha, mtu akikudanganya ati ataingia Ukambani bila Kalonzo, they are wasting their time. Vile huko Sigoi watu wanaongea, ndio watu Machakos, Kitui na Makueni wanaongea. Hapa ni watu kupatiana heshima na kufanya kazi pamoja. Na sisi hatufurahi, we are not happy when somebody comes here more than 30 minutes, the person you're speaking about is His Excellency Kalonzo.
As power struggles continue to take center stage in Meru County, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has called upon county leaders led by Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Lenturi and Governor Kawira Mwangaza and her deputy to sort out differences and prioritize service delivery. Gashagua's rallying call comes at a time when the Governor Mwangaza dared county MCAs to bring on another impeachment motion.
The row between Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza and her deputy deepens, with county MCAs threatening to impeach Mwangaza for the second time. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has called on the leaders to solve their issues amicably, noting that neither him or President RUTO will meddle into the affairs of Meru County. Gachagua's sentiments come just a day after Governor Mwangaza, who was a no-show during the church service, dared the MCAs to bring on the impeachment. However, the second-in-command has called on the local leaders led by the governor and Agriculture CS Mithika Linturi to iron out the issues at hand and unite to better the lives of Meru residents.
Meru ikikosa maendeleo, rais na mimi tutahuzunika sana. Na kwa hivyo mimi naomba nyinyi ni viongozi, muongee na watu ya kanisa, muketi, please, mukubaliane how to rudisha Meru temperatures chini na tusipate aibu nikiwa mtoto wa Meru.
With Miraa being the backbone of Meru County's economy, Gachagua promised to organize a conference with key stakeholders in a bid to find more market for Miraa farmers, including across the country, terming anyone referring to Miraa as a drug as an enemy of Meru people.
And we want to tell you what yanakada. Miraa is not a drug, it's a cash crop like any other. It's a cash crop. Hao watu wengi wote wamesoma na Miraa. Hii kanisa mumejenga na pesa ya Miraa. Kweli ama uongo? Miraa is a cash crop. Na anybody ambaye anasema Miraa is a drug is an enemy of the Meru community. Mimi mnajua hakuna mtu mimi naogopa Mwenyezi Mungu peke yake.
The deputy president recently lamenting about the struggles in the hands of cartels, months after convening the first coffee conference in the central region. Gachagua once again reiterated the government's commitment in ensuring farmers can benefit from coffee farming.
The journey to liberate the coffee farmer is a difficult one, but it will be done. Nataka kuuliza wakulima wavumilie kidogo. We are almost there. Wamekuja kwa huyu Linturi kumuhonga na 30 million. Akawaambia watembee. Huyu si hawezi uza wakulima wa Kenya. Wamekuja kwangu kujaribu kunihonga. Ati nikubali mabadiliko isimamishwe, katika kilo wanipatie shilingi 2. Nikawaambia watembee. Sasa wamefika mwisho. We are almost succeeding. We are almost there. Wazungu wanasema the darkest hour is just before dawn. We are almost there. Another 3-4 weeks. Hii watu tutawaweka pahali wako. Nimekuwa Colombia, tumepata soko. Hivi karibuni kuna watu wanakuja kutoka Marekani ambaye tunaongea wanunue direct kwa mkulima bila kupitia kwa hao mabroker.
Bridget Agola, Lookuptv.
Let's move on. Now, the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers has lauded members of the National Assembly over their decision to suspend the implementation of the recommendations in the education sector as proposed by the Professor Raphael Munavu-led task force. As Ian Kesani now reports, the union officials led by Omboko Milemba and Akelo Misori have slammed the task force over some of the recommendations, terming them as a step in the wrong direction.
Just days after the National Assembly stopped the implementation of the recommendations of the Professor Raphael Munavu-led task force in the education sector, Kenya Union of Post-Primary Teachers officials have lauded the move, citing some of the recommendations as a step in the wrong direction. Led by Emuhaya Member of Parliament Omboko Milemba, the leaders faulted some of the recommendations, with the first-time lawmaker downplaying the proposals to have the ministry promoting our teachers, insisting that it is the mandate of the Teachers Service Commission, while questioning the idea of TSC hiring imams and preachers in schools.
Promotion, the transfer of teachers, be done by the Ministry of Education. So we shall have some being promoted this side by ministry, others by TSC, then we shall go back to the old anarchy that we had. But above all, did you know that it's even proposing that the Teacher Service Commission can employ imams and chaplains in schools? When did TSC know how to employ a pastor?
Despite taking a swipe at TSC CEO Nancy Macharia, Milemba vehemently opposed the idea of scrapping the Teachers Service Commission.
Nancy Macharia is no Teacher Service Commission. Can you look in my eyes, guys? Am I right? So let's not mistake the two. Sawa sawa. The teachers need Teacher Service Commission as an independent commission. Do you know that they want to basically remove the Teacher Service Commission? And if you remove it and we go back to the education to be managed by DOs and to be managed by PDEs, and we know how that system worked, it will be very dangerous.
Speaking in Nandi County, Secretary General Akelo Misori faulted the ministry for reprimanding school heads, with Bomet County Executive Secretary Ronald Tunoi calling on the National Assembly to amend the report to ensure it keeps the sector in an upward trajectory.
Some principles, wherever they are, they don't want to release information because they don't know their rights. And that is why the money meant for activity is withheld by the ministry, and you are asked to overtax parents outside the law.
We want to call on Parliament to either amend that report or reject it in totality, so that junior secondary school can stand on its own.
This comes as Kakamega Governor Fernandes Barasa is calling on the Ministry of Education to ensure the delocalization of teachers is fast-tracked.
Matters of delocalization of teachers, it has not been fully implemented. Tuko na walimu ambao bado they are serving in other counties, and again this is a matter which will bring up to our education committee so that all those teachers who are delocalized lazima warudi nyumbani.
Ian Keitani, Lookuptv.
Well, this morning we have 3 issues that we're going to look at. See, the president promised, but he's still promising more. And we're listening. So for us, it is just to question. And just like we started, I'm going to give you some figures here that we really have to start asking questions from, so we see exactly what the intentions of the president communication is, really. So you see the president said he's already spoken to Google, who are going to employ 300,000 Kenyans. And then we said, that's good. But then, let's put it into perspective then. You see, when we're talking about the Google ecosystem then, you're talking about the companies of X, you're talking about Apple, you're talking about Intel, you know, in that sense. All those 3 companies combined would have around 460,000 employees, by the way. And they're also planning more job cuts. So when the president says they're going to employ 300,000 Kenyans, it means that those companies now have to take an additional 100,000 each. Whoa. Google currently has 174,000, Intel 122,000, Apple 164,000. How did they agree to take in an extra 100,000? That's what we're going to talk about this morning, plus many other issues abound. Now, Kibera becoming an estate in the next 10 years. The 2 Erics are in the building. How are you doing, Ragalo? We're ready for Kibera Estate. In 10 years, by the way. You have to start being ready for it.
Hiyo inaitwa masinema. I love Sonko. When you used to say hizo ni mabipinde.
That's it.
That is cinema.
Mr. Mungai.
I'm wondering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember when Uhuru came in? Uhuru said the same thing.
That's it. By the way,
and
he
sent the former minister, now the governor, Kirinyaga.
That's why these gentlemen are here, and we also do have Tef Masharia joining us online, so we can talk about what this is. It is promise after promise. We're also going to talk about the Rigathi Gachagwa's promise. It is, in just 3 to 4 weeks, nothing like cartels will be existing in the country. Let's talk about that once we come back.
jamaa jo mazena inflation jo na hii mafuta venye imepanda jo, mmefika at the right time. Mimi nakwambia wachezaji saa hizi tu ni kutoka hapa kuingia mtaa kutengeneza sima wadishifiti alafu tutane grau.
Leo tuko katika center inaitwa Kimta, ambapo hapa ni sehemu ambapo wanafunzi ama vijana wadogo wanakuja hapa kusoma, wanakuja hapa kukuza talanta yao, na wanakuja pia kujiinua kielimu.
Now through Kimta and the groups like Tatua Tatu through pads, wasichana wataendelea kuendea shule vizuri, at the same time watakuwa healthy.
Yote ni kwa hisani ya Tatua Foundation. Na wakati wote ambapo unacheza Tatua Tatu, kumbuka kwamba 25% inakuja kusaidia masuala kama haya. Kwa hivyo endelea kucheza Tatua Tatu.
Infinity Industrial Park is one of the largest private industrial parks located along Eastern Bypass, Nairobi, which provides modern infrastructure for smooth operations for industries and business enterprises. Infinity Industrial Park offers world-class amenities and facilities with wide roads, a police station, a power substation, fire station, public transport stage, hospital, and shopping mall. In addition, Infinity Industrial Park also offers CCTV cameras, 24-hour private armed security patrol, sewer, water, fiber optic cable, and 3-phase power connection, added to public utility, canteen, and dining areas. Sail on the golden opportunity to invest in Infinity Industrial Park, fully serviced warehouses at a special price of 3,569 Kenyan shillings per square foot. For more inquiries, visit our website infinityindustrialpark.com.
Are you an SME looking for a media partner? Look no more, as Lookuptv got you covered for all your visibility and marketing needs. We at Lookuptv understand your business needs and want to work with you on your marketing journey, giving you solutions that will take you to the next level. Call us today on 0707 572 358 or send an email to sales@lookuptv.co.ke and kickstart this amazing journey. Welcome to Lookuptv, your official SME media partner.
As the night falls, we come to life to bring you a comprehensive broadcast from the numerous events happening across our 47 counties.
When it breaks, it matters, and each story is important.
If it's Thursday, join me, Nancy Nalima, and my able panelists as we break down the law jargons and analyze the Constitution in a way only you can understand.
The news cycle never stops, neither does time. We cover each and every sector and present to you factual and accurate occurrences. This is where facts win the day. Join me,
Nancy Nalima,
Ian Keitani, Tuesday, every Wednesday,
Thursday,
as from 9 p.m. on The Insight, only on Lookuptv.
The story we're telling today is a story of passion in practice that grows into business.
We have partnered with the Youth Fund, talk to as many youth as possible and work with them, hold their hand.
It is an expose of captains who have decided to take on challenges in different sectors and industries within the country.
My mentors had also not started as CEOs. They grew up and they showed me how they grew in the organizations. So that's what motivated me to actually do international business. And it was a good experience.
As an individual, support in bridging the care gap, part of me also to offer a solution. I want to leave this world a better place than I found it.
This is the Captain's Arena. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage.
Praise the Lord and Bwana Yesu asifiwe sana. My name is Pastor Josiah. I'm from a ministry called Reconcilers World. God gives strength to the weary. I am, Jesus is speaking. He says, I am the door. Then he says, anyone who enters in through me will be saved. The Lord is my shepherd or shepherd. Then he says, I will always have everything I need. God desires to guide you. He's telling you that this day, don't just trust the Lord, but he's telling you, trust the Lord widely.
Hi, and welcome to Tujenge Home. Your #1 show when it comes to all things architecture, real estate, property development, interior design. You get it right here on Tujenge Home. When the food is ready.
You want to serve them?
Dinner is served. Let's go. Let's go.
Beautiful, wonderful, glorious. We are having the show that we share entitled Shepherd Voice.
I'm waiting for you to get me to Kenya. That's what I'm waiting
for you.
God is the source of every blessings that flow into your life.
And I know that God is going to bless you and to do a new thing.
Pray, pray, pray. Pray.
Are you an SME looking for a media partner? Look no more, as Lookuptv got you covered for all your visibility and marketing needs. We at Lookuptv understand your business needs and want to work with you on your marketing journey, giving you solutions that will take you to the next level. Call us today on 0707 572 358 or send an email to sales@lookuptv.co.ke and kickstart this amazing journey. Welcome to Lookuptv, your official SME media partner.
As the night falls, we come to life to bring you a comprehensive broadcast from the numerous events happening across our 47 counties.
When it breaks, it matters, and each story is important.
If it's Thursday, join me, Nancy Lima, and my able panelists as we break down the law jargons and analyze the Constitution in a way only you can understand.
The news cycle never stops, neither does time. We cover each and every sector and present to you factual and accurate occurrences. This is where facts win the day. Join me,
Nancy Lima,
Ian Keitani, Tuesday, every Wednesday,
Thursday,
as from 9 p.m. on The Insight, only on Lookuptv.
RUTO.
Michezo na wachezaji, matukio na matokeo uwanjani,
Tumejifunga kibwebwe kukuletea mbwembwe. Si mazungumzo ya kusisimua. Ndiyo maana safu ya spoti ipo hapa kwa ajili yako. Nami hapa nahodha Robert Chacha. Sisui na kuandalia kipindi bomba cha safu ya spoti kila siku ya Jumamosi kuanzia saa 7:30 ndani runinga nambari 1 ya michezo Lookuptv.
This morning, we are joined by Eric Mungai. We do have Eric Wagalo in the studio as well. We also do have online Prof. Macharia Munene as we talk about what the government is promising you this morning. And there have been a lot of promises that we're looking at, all the way from the education sector. We're going to go and talk about what is happening in the agriculture sector and as the cost of living is concerned. We're also going to talk about what the affordable housing agenda is now turning into this morning. And the best way then for us to start this review this morning is for us to go back to what the president spoke about yesterday. And we start like this. Now, President William RUTO has pledged to eradicate slums in the Nairobi area and other parts of the country within the next 10 years. Speaking Sunday while attending a church service at his demonstration, will build affordable houses for low-income earners, especially in Kibra, with the aim of giving the slum dwellers a decent home and creating employment for the youth. Let's take a look at that story. Once we come back, introduce the gentleman who are joining us this morning, then the conversation officially kicks in.
Kibera, one of the biggest slums in Africa, is about to experience a complete transformation to become an estate in a period of 10 years. All this is to be achieved through the Affordable Housing Project, which seeks to give Kenyans living in informal settlements a decent home.
Na vile vile tunaondoa watu kwa slum. Hii Kibera slum iko hapa na zile slum ziko Nairobi. Kwanza hii ya Kibera, in 10 years hakutakuwa na slum hapa. There will be no slum. Hii tutakuwa tumeibadilisha imekuwa estate. Na ndio mliona tulisukuma kabisa mambo ya housing fund. Watu wamenipigia kelele kidogo, lakini watakuja kugundua ya kwamba hii ni kitu mzuri. Itatusaidia wa vijana wapate ajira, Wakenya tupate manyumba, tuishi katika mahali kuna heshima, mahali kuna maji, kuna stima, kuna barabara.
The government seeks to construct 200 units in each of the 290 constituencies. So far, the project has kicked off in Soweto B, in Kibera, Ruiru, Pangani, Starehe, Shauri Moyo, Homa Bay and Mavoko. On the issue of unemployment among the youth, the head of state says the project will significantly help in providing jobs for Kenyan youth.
Tuko na vijana wengi Nairobi hawana ajira. Na sio Nairobi peke yake, Kenya mzima. Hiyo mpango ya housing sababu yake ni mbili. Ya kwanza, sio manyumba zaidi, ni ajira zaidi. Nilikuwa hapa Mkuru juzi on Monday nafikiri Tuesday. Hapo tunajenga nyumba 15,000. Na mpango yetu ni kuwa na vijana 4,000 hapo Mkuru peke yake wanaofanya kazi. Hapa Nairobi peke yake mpango yetu ni kwamba in the next 5 years tuwe tumejenga at least nyumba 200,000. Tuhakikisha kwamba vijana wale wako Nairobi hapa wanapata ajira.
President RUTO reiterated his commitment to making sure that Kenyans find decent jobs both in the country and abroad, saying that he has entered into bilateral agreements that seek to see Kenyan workforce shipped abroad.
Tunakamilisha bilateral labor agreements na nchi karibu 12 mahali wanataka Wakenya wafanye kazi. Na tumebadilisha sasa, Wakenya hawataenda kufanya sasa ati kazi ya domestic work. Sasa we have signed bilateral agreements ambayo ni ya semi-skilled, skilled jobs and professional jobs.
Brian Amwai, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
All right. Let me start with you, Prof, before I sit down with the gentleman in the studio this morning. Let's put that particular statement from the president in proper perspective then. You see, to date, even with the national census that we normally get into, the exact population of Kibra, which is the third largest slum in the world, is not known. It's neither here nor there. But we put it at about 1.2 million inhabitants in Kibra. So now, if indeed then the president essentially is saying that the true fact is that Kibera has to change within the next 10 years, it means that that particular plan of building 200,000 units, at least in a year, in the country, in the affordable housing agenda, has to go completely to Kibra if we're going to get a different face of Kibra in the next 10 years. Let's start from there. If indeed they're saying that their plan is to build 200,000 units of affordable houses each year, does that change what the affordable housing plan is then, Prof? Because that means that it has to completely be focused on the slum areas in the country.
It is good for the president to be ambitious and to make promises that he hopes to keep. There's nothing wrong with that. The reality is that it may not come to be.
Yes.
Because it is a tall order. The logistics of it are difficult to maneuver. We also have the attitude of the people in it. There have been stories before that some houses that looked very nice have been built for some people who did not want them. And if they did not want them, then they have to be forced to get out into some other areas. The population is increasing in some areas, that's true. So keeping up with the increasing population may be a problem itself.
Yes.
It is a good ambition and vision for the president. The practicality of it may be another matter. Mm-hmm. And because you really have to change the attitude of the people in the slums themselves. There are those who really love it. There are many who may have some questions about the whole project. The cost of it is something else. The affordability of it is also something else. In the argument is that once those houses are built,
yes,
people should be able to buy them at an affordable price. But the problem comes when you look exactly what the cost means. It is hardly possible that any of those houses, once it is built, actually they are flats, flats on the floor for flat. The one that's likely to be least in cost would be about 2 million shillings.
Yes.
Now, 2 million shillings, to pay that money, we need somebody to have a salary, an income of about 60 or 70,000 a month in order to pay for it and also live. So there is a bit of problem in calculations and logic. The number of people in Kenya who earn 50,000 shillings per month, not very many. There are those who earn slightly more than that, very few. But the ones who earn 50 and 60,000, those are the middle income, supposedly, middle income people.
Yes.
Those who earn 15, 20,000, and they are they are still said to be there, to be employed, are many. And it may be a problem to think that those people can afford that sort of house.
Mm-hmm.
So there is, the calculations may not be very attractive.
Yes.
So what might happen, what has happened before, is somebody might be allocated the house and then sell it to somebody who can afford it, because they want the money quickly. Or actually just cut down the cost instead of the 2 million shillings and say that now the house would cost 500,000 shillings.
Yes.
It would be a subsidy. So the implementation of it will be a problem, even when it is realized. Of course, there are philosophical issues that have come up. They have been kind of ignored, but it is a good vision. It's ambitious. The elimination of slums will not be practical. It will not be done.
That's it. Pretty much. Magalo. Now, here's the thing. Let me give you some more numbers as well from this particular plan. It's not the very first time that we're hearing this. In 2012, remember when Raila Amolo Odinga was with Kibaki in government, Kibaki launched a 3 billion Kibera housing scheme, which we do not know how it ended. But now, here are the numbers from here, that out of the 1.2 million supposedly who live in Kibra, the unemployment rate in Kibra is at 50%. So half of those who live in Kibra essentially live on the $2 per day limit or less than $1. And one of the biggest challenges of that plan from Raila Amolo Odinga and Mwai Kibaki was that yes, you will build these houses, but the same people you're building them for will not essentially afford to pay for them, even on a subsidized plan. But RUTO says, give me 10 years. It's going to be Kibra State now.
Yeah. Give me 10 years. It will be Buruburu. You know, Buruburu was built, and Prof is here, Buruburu was built by the National Housing Corporation.
Yes.
And it was built for who? For people who could afford Buruburu. I want to tell you, brother, that Kibera will not happen. I am not a prophet of doom, but there is this word that says, if you have a good vehicle, it's because umeshiba na umebakisha. Anything you have above your stomach is because your stomach is full. In Kikuyu they say, otogane matigari mada. Prof knows what I'm saying. Anything else you have is because your stomach is full.
Yes.
So, you want to build Kibera houses for people. Can they afford food first? Can they afford electricity? Electricity levy, not levy, tax went up by 14.2% this financial year. Sugar went to 61.4% tax on sugar. Those are only two things I'm showing you. So how many other taxes came in? Water tax, okay? Normal taxes to a house. I'm looking at a Kibera house, one household.
Yes.
There is water tax, there is sugar, there is flour, there is that electricity, definitely. That household expenditure went up. It strained the pocket of this person. How much does a watchman get paid? We're looking not high-end watchmen. I'm looking at a common watchman. 6,000 a month. They are there in Kibra. 6,000 Kenya shilling. Someone has a house and children, a husband, a wife, and 2 kids. I'm giving an example. Let me say 1 kid surviving on 6,000. You are coming to build them a house. Kibra has 250,000 households. Households. You want to build 25,000 houses in 10 years. These houses are not for free. just like Prof have said, a 1-bedroom, a studio, and a 3-bedroom. A 3-bedroom is around 6K. A 1-bedroom is around 6 million. A 1-bedroom is around 3 million. A studio is around 1.52 million. A studio. Look at our country, the tax burden that is going to the banks. The other day, we were talking of treasury bills. T-bills went high at 15.22%. Okay? How much is the borrowing at itself? How much is the government borrowing to build these houses? They need to get back their money. Is it the same way as Uhuru started it? No. 1. 2, how much is the borrowing to this person who you want to buy, you want him to buy these houses? Will he get loans from the banks? With the treasury bills at 15.22%, how much is the bank going to request? And for how long? They will default from the banks. They will lose the houses. Kibera will remain another Kibera. They will now build in the middle of those two places. Who knew Buruburu will be like the way it is today? Buruburu was a high-end place. If you would hear someone anaishi Buru, that's why I started the name Buruburu, you'd think they're doing very well. Go to Buru today. In another 10 years, Buru will be more of a slum. It is going to be a slum. Because of the economy. How did the Soweto people make it? Because Soweto was almost like this one. Mm-hmm. How did they make it? Jenga peana for free. Give them free housing. Don't charge them. If that is what you want to do. Uhuru came in 2013. And Waiguru entered Kibera in storm with the whole of NYS. And Kibera was like it's going to transform in 1 week to look like Keren. Or Runda rather. Or even better than Kitisuru. They cleared everywhere saying that Raila has done nothing in Kibera. They were televising. Everybody was seeing. What happened? In the 10 years of Kibaki, did he finish? We have to be ambitious, but in ambition, we have to be realistic.
Yes.
Change those fortunes for those people first. When you change their fortune, they will change their mindset. Then they will take your houses. Prof was there when Moi was building toilets for people. They were called latrines. Then people were told, every village kuwe na malatrine all over. Prof will talk about it. People build the latrine but wakasema hizo za serikali. Watu waliendelea kwenda choo kwa misitu. There were a lot of skin diseases and worms. In fact, if you are at my age that time, bro, I'm telling you because I'm a bit older.
Yes.
Kama ulikosa haya magonjwa matano, then wewe ulikuwa unaishi mahali ingine. Kama ulikosa minyoo, ulikosa mumps, wakikuwa naita muungai. Ulikosa skin disease, shilingi moja inakula kichwa yote. Kama ulikosa scabies, unafinya hivi nafanya twach, twach. Na kama ulikosa kunguni, gogoni. My friend, ulikuwa unatoka boma mzuri. Hizo vitu tano, prof anaweza kuambia they were obvious. But people had to be told how to manage themselves. Yes. So that hizi tano zikaisha. It's rare sasa utapata mtoto na shilingi. Yeah. It's rare utaota mtoto na nini? Na kunguni. Na scabies. Na hii miguu imeenda hivi umeumwa na nini kunguni kwa miguu. Those were obvious. So even Kibera, it is education as you transform their life. But you don't come all of a sudden, unapatia mtu aje ikula blue band apake kwa mkate. Atashanga kama ni ya kukaranga. That is basically what you are trying to do. Unaleta blue band na inakaa kama kimbo. Unapatia mtu hajaiona blue band. What will he do? Ataipikia.
Mr. Mugai, sema prof
is saying, Prof said, it's ambitious. It is him. He can promise, he's the president. And if he thinks he's going to achieve it, fine. It's up to him. But two things that the president said there. He said, give me 10 years. He said, Mungai, it's a direct quote. In 10 years, I will change it.
We'll remind him.
That's that. But it won't be there in 10 years. Okay, let's say it's going to go. Okay, Mr. Mungai, let's say.
It will not be there because it's already one is gone. Yeah, it's true. It won't be there. One is gone already. One is gone.
Mungai, that's the first thing that I want you to address. He said, give me 10 years. If that promise came today, and by the way, the promise came this weekend, isn't it? So we start counting now.
So
for the next 10 years, that will be 2033, isn't it?
No, just give him 9 years, because he won't be there in 10 years.
That's it.
One is gone.
And if it's going to be there after 2027, that's what we're saying, Mr. Mungai. Number two, do you think that that promise, just like Prof saying and Regalo, well, ambitious, it's yours, you can promise, but achieving it, that's where the rubber meets the road.
Thank you to our viewers this morning. I have listened to Prof and Bwana Ragalo.
Yes.
And one of the things that I must point out is that all good things start with ambition. The realism of what you're going to achieve, there are factors that are beyond your control.
Yes.
And when we talk about this issue of upgrading slum upgrades in Kibera, it's not really a new thing. In 2012-2013, we had the United Nations in collaboration with the Government of National Unity coming together to do slum upgrades in Kibera. And part of what the government learned then was that you can remove the villager from the village, but not necessarily the village out of the villager.
That's why education.
And one of the things the government discovered is that you take someone from a low dwelling to an apartment. Within a short time, they go back to the informal dwelling and they lease out the houses. So it becomes a means of income to the people you're seeking to upgrade. But by and large, you know, it's always good to learn from success stories. And Prof knows that, you know, when you publish a paper, you have peers reviewing your journals.
Yes.
So that you do not think you're the most brilliant person in the room. And we have had countries where housing has worked. In 1960, in fact, sometimes I feel that as a country, this discussion is coming way too late, because there are countries as early as 60s that were able to sort out the housing issues. And one of those countries we normally quote is Singapore.
Yes.
And if you read Lee's book, From Third World to First World,
the Singapore story,
one of the things he says is the same problems we face in Kenya. You know, they moved people from the village. People would go with their ducks, with their chicken to those houses. And really, it took a lot of time before they educated people on why they should move to better houses. But be that as it may, we must come to an agreement and ask ourselves, do we really need these houses? And I must say that there is dignity in living in a dwelling that is conducive and in an environment where you can bring up your own children, and in an environment, you know, let's dignify the way that people live. I think that is very important. Now, how we go about it as to whether we can do all those houses in 10 years,
yes,
I think it is incumbent upon us as a citizenry to appreciate when the government has an ambitious project that is meant in one way or another to uplift our standard of living. Now, that does not necessarily mean that our income streams might have risen to meet the, you know, the responsibility to pay for those houses.
Yes.
But if you go to Bomayangu today, there are income bands, okay, based on how much you earn per month. And the lowest in Bomayangu you can pay for a month for a one-bedroom house is Kenya shillings 2,000. Now, as to the number of years it takes to pay that house, as Prof said,
Yes.
the numbers sometimes, from a government's perspective, sometimes do not make sense. But what also concerns me,
yes.
Simba, is that since we passed the Finance Act of 2023, the PS and the CS for housing have gone into the woodworks. Except for the fact that the president mentioned this yesterday, there has been a sort of lull and calm, and no one knows exactly what is happening. And sometimes I am worried when government is quiet, because then the papers usually speak with a front headline of a particular scandal that is happening. And I feel it is incumbent upon government to keep on communicating to its citizenry.
Yes.
They owe us information.
So if we're gonna ask questions then, just before I cross over to Prof. Mungai, I mean, even the Boma Yangu, the least you can pay is 2,000 shillings. And the stats from our last census essentially are putting the employment rate in Kibra at 50%, unemployment rate at 50%. That means, if we're going by the world's poverty index, it means that they're living by either $2 max or less than $1 a day. And you have a president who's not even factual in whatever he's promising. You're saying, give me 10 years. Then the first question you're asking, wait, but you don't have 10 years. Number two, even if 50% of that population that you give in these houses will not essentially pay for it. And by the way, I say 50% because even those who are essentially out of that index might not fit that description you're giving right now. Why can't we just say that, indeed, it's impossible, Mungai, for you to promise us that?
I do not think he, let me put it this way.
Yes.
Every time you get into government from day one,
yes,
the people shift to opposition. And it's not peculiar. It's not peculiar. No, it's true. It's not peculiar to the Kenyan government alone, okay? That is why you see even in a room when a chief walks in, like people are going to be silent and change the discourse, okay? And that is to say, the government, in my opinion, means well. And I said ambition is not bad. As to whether or not they can get to the tenets of their ambition is a different story altogether.
Is it ambition or just a lie? I mean, when you look at the facts on the table, before you as the head of state speaks, number one, you don't have 10 years in the first place. And we don't know what he meant by 10 years. Because if you say 10 years, then in 1 year that he's been in office, Mr. Mungai, then we'll be talking about the progress. He didn't mention anything like that.
No, it's not a lie.
Yes.
The reason why I say it's ambition is because there is money to do it. You see, if we were asking for private investors to come in, then that would be, in essence, what you call a lie, because we don't know whether they'll come in or not. But remember, with the authorization of the Act, there is actually a fund that exists. So that means, even if challenges will emanate from the program, by and large, a huge percentage of that will not be financial. It could be other logistics, but not necessarily financial. That's why I'm saying it's ambitious, but it's not a lie.
Pretty much. Prof, let's put it into perspective this morning, Prof. I mean, as a president, when you're speaking, when you're addressing the public, every time a president stands to speak, you speak as an office. I would like to think that you will present data. Prof, let's look at it, that 50% of Kibera dwellers are essentially unemployed. Good. The rest of them, that essentially means that they earn less than $2 a day. Let's put it at what it is right now. It's 300 shillings. And Wagalo is put it right, that in fact, majority of those who are employed, you will earn 6,000 shillings a month. You have a house that you're paying for, could be 1,500 shillings. The rest of the money is spread across the month like that. Now, the president comes in, number one, he says, give me 10 years. First, Prof, we got a question. These 10 years you're talking about, where are they? And then you say, number two, every other person in Kibra essentially would be in this housing that I'm coming up with. The second question is, are you not lying? When 50% of them are unemployed, so where are they going to get this money to pay for these houses you're giving them, Prof?
Well, to start with, I don't think I want to say that the president's lying.
Yes.
But he may be mistaken or misadvised.
Prof, I'm sorry to cut you short. I mean, Prof, if you tell me, give me 10 years, number one, what do you mean? You don't have 10 years. Even if you got the second term is 5 years, Prof. He's already 1 year plus in office. Is that not a lie?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He might be misadvised. And yet, he does not have 10 years unless, since we have had rumors that the presidential term might be extended to 7, in which case then you have more than 10 years. Maybe that's what's going on, but we don't know. The issue of Kibra, unemployment rate is 50% or more, and you talk about the people earning less than $10 a day, which is equivalent to 300 shillings. Now, where do we earn that 300 shillings? If their job, when they talk about $2 per dollar a day, is stretched in that there is no money to talk about.
Yes.
Or maybe they depend on other people's handouts, not because they do not earn that. About security officers, others getting 6,000 or 7,000 shillings a month. That's actually about $300 a month. So it's kind of tricky. So I would like to imagine that the president is serious, but he got it wrong.
Yes.
And he regret his ambition outpaces the reality.
That's him.
So when he speaks, it doesn't sound logical. And it is not in the interest of the president to sound illogical. So that's why I say maybe he's misadvised somewhere and mistaken, guided. But it is he who decides who guides him, who advises him. And if he chooses people who really do not know what they are talking about, then he ends up with a problem because he's at the face of it, talked about it. So the general picture is that, government money from people by force, tax, but that money coming from people's salaries is really not adequate for the ambition. I think it would have been better.
Yes.
We found a way of persuading people to build their own houses.
Yes.
And maybe prices of the land and others, so that people are encouraged to take pride in building their own house.
Yes.
As opposed to waiting somebody to put up a high-rise structure and then get one of the studios in there to pay in the next 30, 40 years, which may not be there. Something, the logic of it kind of skewed the wrong way. And as it's been proven, it's not the first time we are hearing this thing.
Yes.
It's been there. Poor Igoro tried to clean up Kibra and they said that she was going to show it. And she ended up in trouble for doing it. And she never did clean up the place, although she had it was a political journey. In other countries, the US had a housing program.
Yes.
It didn't go very well. You know, those projects, they used to call them. So there is a need to rethink the whole thing, but since the president has decided he wants it anyway, he has a problem of now implementing it while facing the actuality. One, people don't have money. The country is broke. So we are too. Although taking progress than they should. You have, we are reading the other day that Ministry of Foreign Affairs is going to stop putting diplomats abroad. So we shall instead look for a lot of people, Kenyans who happen to be there, and then give them to Barua.
Yes.
Because the picture is not coming out very well. And since the country is broke, so we cannot afford to have bishops.
Yes.
And yet, we promised, or we said we are going to open an embassy in Kosovo, or in maybe Haiti, or some other place. There are some statements that are not match.
Yes.
Things. They are not making the president look very good. I think he is serious, he is genuine, but something is wrong somewhere. And he needs to be told that.
Pretty much. That's where it starts. But just to sort of also jump into the next part of the conversation that I want us to get into this morning, in as much as what the president is essentially promising. Now, the unemployment issue is an issue that the president essentially came in and said, I'm going to solve, Regalo. Good. It's not the very first time he's making this mistake, just like prophesying that it's not up to the president to sound logical every time he gets a chance to speak. It's up to the people around him to sound logical, to help him sound logical in that sense. Good. It's not up to the president. That's what prophesying.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Now, there's something that essentially the president also said, and I want to read it to you now, Regalo, so that now we can see exactly where to start investigating it from. The other day, the president came in and he said that Germany was going to give 300,000 Kenyans employment.
Yes.
Which was completely wrong.
Yes.
Went out in the media, we analyzed in a way, well, they're not taking that large number of Kenyans, isn't it?
Actually, it was 250 million people
250
to Germany.
That's it. Now, if you look at what the president said, he came from this tour in the US, and he said, well, guys, I've been talking to a lot of people, talking to a lot of companies, and they've agreed that they're going to give Kenyans 300,000 jobs. And he specifically mentioned Kenyans. And these are the companies that he mentioned. The likes of Google, the likes of Intel, the likes of Apple. Now, let me give you the numbers. Google currently has 174,014 employees. Yes. Intel, 122,200. Apple, 164,000. When you look at all this, it is 460,000 employees directly. Then how can these companies turn around and hire 300,000 Kenyans then? Because that means is that they're okay with Google having 274,000 employees, Intel, 222,000 employees, Apple, 264,000 employees, when these companies are the ones who've been leading in job layoffs, Regalo. So that's the same question that I asked the prof, that indeed, you as a president, when you stand to speak in front of people, facts out of your promises should lead the conversation. Is the president blatantly lying?
My problem with this government is, and I want to go back to the family unit. When you get children and you are like, I'm going to have 10 children, plus my wife and myself, that makes you 12. So your wife is the deputy president and you are the president of that house. Your function as the president in that house should be one. I'm going to read this constitution, chapter of the Bill of Rights, yes. Kenyan Constitution, Article 43.1, subarticle A to F. On 6 sectors, which include 1, the president is supposed to give adequate food. That is the house. Make sure your kids are full. Then, give them quality housing.
Yes.
And clean. Give them clean and safe water. Give them security and give them education. That is a normal household. And that is the normal household called Kenya. Before we give our people out to work, I'll give you examples of places where we've been promised jobs. Canada, there were jobs promised by who? By Alfred Mutua.
Does it?
Either he bluffed or it was a joke.
Yes.
Then it was a bad joke. We were promised jobs in Germany, 250 million Kenyans. I don't know where the other Kenyans were going to come from anyway, but there were 250 million Kenyans. We've been promised jobs in Saudi Arabia. Are Kenyans only supposed to go and work abroad? What does that tell you? We are a failed state. We cannot offer ourselves jobs. Why can't the government provide jobs? On a platform of campaign, you campaigned, I'm going to make sure mumepata makazi. Hii itakuwa serikali ya mahasla. Mama mboga utakuwa unasikia shilingi kiingia. Mudavadi came and said, money in your pocket. Now you're being told to go to Saudi Arabia, ukachomwa na jua ya 60 degrees, 50 degrees. Ukitafuta shilingi 80,000. How much is a watchman paid in Saudi Arabia? We have to be honest, 50,000 Kenya shillings. How much can a watchman be paid Kenya? 25,000. It's better off 25,000 in Kenya than 50,000 to go and burn on a heat. How much mfanyikazi wa nyumba is paid out there? 30,000, 25. How much is how much are you supposed to pay a domestic worker in Kenya? Right now, under the law, is supposed to be around 11,000, between 8 and 11.
Yes.
You understand? Now, I'm asking myself, should you go out there to work? How much, let me give a clear example now. How much is a nurse paid in Saudi Arabia? Or in Dubai? Or any part of UAE? Bahrain is around 300,000, 400,000 a month. How much is a nurse paid in Kenya? 70,000 starting salary in the government. Why can't you make it 150? How much is a doctor who has just left college paid in Kenya? 350. Look at the difference. The nurse is paid 70, the doctor is paid 300. They are both taking care of a patient. The doctor makes prescription, leaves. The nurse is left with the patient, 24-hour clock, gets 70. This guy who prescribes get 300. Why can't you bring it closer? 150, this guy earns 300. It's much reasonable. Why can't nurses leave? So issue is, we already know we have a problem.
Yes.
How do we solve a problem other than telling Kenyans they are going outside? I'll give you another one story. I heard in the news that 100% free education, bursary or whatever, what is this called? Scholarship.
Yes, scholarships.
To 45,000 students in TVET and universities. I want to we've been to colleges. How many semesters do you have? 3.
3, yeah.
2.
3, actually.
3 semesters.
Yeah.
Let's put it that each semester a student is paying 20,000 because it was increased. It used to be 18. Sindio? Let's put it here, 20,000. 20,000 times 45,000 gives you what? I did that calculation, brother. It gives you that is 2.7 billion. But this is Sako 1, Sako 2, Sako 3. 2.7 billion Kenya shillings you're using to pay fee. Alone to pay fee. 45,000. Is it sustainable? Is it sustainable? That is per semester. Okay? Now put times 3. Is it sustainable? You know, what I'm asking myself, we should have had a conversation.
Yes.
That, yes, we have a problem in our country. Let's do a referendum in our country. Not to remove anybody or to add seats.
Yes.
Or let's ask ourselves, what do we need? Then Kenyans will give you answers what they will need. Then work out on that.
Yes, sir.
Housing project is a fallacy. You will not build houses to very, very hungry people. They will not live in them. They will sell them. They'll give them away. So how do you achieve this? Simple. Reduce production. Mimi nikijenga nyumba yangu, mawe nilinunua 23 bob. By the time I was finishing my house bro, na mawe inatoka tu hapo Komo, na mimi na Thika iko hapo.
Yes.
There's a place called Komo. Is where mawe mingi inatoka. Mawe ilipanda to 26 bob a piece. Chuma imepanda. Simiti imepanda. So what you do, reduce factors that affect housing. One, and there are only 3, cost of housing. Hakuna mtu apendi kuwa na nyumba. Lakini kama anaweza afford nyumba, it will be good. Second, access to credit. I said about treasury bills. Reduce credit. People will be able to take loan and build their houses. Reduce credit. Eric will get a mortgage and will pay mortgages. That's what America do. People take mortgages for houses because the government have made it easy for mortgages. Our mortgage in Kenya here, it will excuse you. You will die and the house will go. Then the third one, income inequality. How can a 6,000 person get a house? Mi unajua hii mambo ya house sielewi. Mi Kenya narudi chini ni, how can a 6,000 person who earns a 6,000 with a family get a house? If you do that and they get a house na hawauzi na wakanunua wakamaliza, then wewe ni noma. How? With the economy we have, 6,000 salary can have a house? How? Yes. It's not possible. Yes. So the possibility is, make Kenyans afford, bring them to a level. Singapore did not do, let me tell you what Singapore did. They did not build a house immediately. Singapore brought the economy to the second upper. We are in the second class, by the way. We are not third world. We are in second world lower. The second world mid and second class, second world upper. We are in second world lower. By the time we go to second world mid, we'll be able to afford much. At that level is when Singapore started now developing. And how did they do? They actually took care of even homeless. They provided them temporary shelters.
Yes.
Have you taken care of the homeless first before you build other people's houses?
Rakala, I want us to go for a tiny breather just right now, because once we come back then, Mr. Mugai, you really have a challenge then to just try and make sense of these statements that the president is talking about. Again, it's not the very first time that he's promising. Well, I'll be reading you the numbers of what he's promised, and turns out it's not only the president who's promising, Gachagua is also on the other side promising. But on the side of that, we're importing maize again once we come back.
Are you looking for experts in waterproofing systems, concrete admixtures, flooring systems, refurbishment solutions, roofing, sealing and bonding, and building finishing systems? Look no more, as Sika Kenya got you covered. With over 113 years of experience, we offer our customers a comprehensive one-stop shop experience and the best technical support. Our products are available in all leading hardware stores and building merchants across the country. Call us today on 0711 140 232 or 0786 140 834. or email us on sales@ke.sika.com. Sika Kenya, building trust. Enjoy a getaway this Mashujaa weekend from as low as 14,000 shillings. Pamper yourself and your loved ones with 10% discount on spa facilities, live kids animators and activities, karaoke Friday and live DJ entertainment. For reservations and inquiries, call 0709 070 000.
Are you a civil servant and looking for financial breakthrough? You can now apply for the salary check-off loan from Juhudi Kilimo. a solution that is available for salaried employees that have a check-off agreement with Juhudi Kilimo. All you need is 3 months latest payslips, a copy of your national ID, 1 recent colored passport photo and your KRA PIN. For more information, call us today on 0709 692 000 or send an SMS to 20103 at no charge. Juhudi Kilimo, investing in farmers, transforming lives.
As part of our service improvement strategies, the authority has adjusted its operating hours. In this regard, all NTSA banking halls and offices will operate Monday to Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Additionally, NTSA offices will remain open to the public on Saturday 30th September 2023 and Saturday 7th October 2023 from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. to enable number plate collection. We humbly request motor vehicle owners who have received message notifications on collections of reflective number plates to visit the centers they identified during the application process. For more information, visit our website at www.ntsa.go.ke. This information is brought to you by the Director General of NTSA. NTSA, keep our roads safe.
We got good news for you. You have the opportunity to win up to 100,000 shillings cash money from Kuza Bees. It's easy to participate. Just open M-Pesa, Lipa na M-Pesa, account number 825454, account name right, Lookuptv, then deposit 99 shillings only. Remember, the more you participate, the more the chances of winning. Hurry now and be one of the winners of the Daily Cash Awards.
This game is BCLB licensed and is not open to persons under the age of 18 years. Play responsibly.
Speaking to Prof. Macharia, Eric Mungai and Eric Ragalo in the studio, making sense of the promises that we're seeing from the president and essentially his DP as well. Let's go into the second one just before I get to seek the sentiments of one Mr. Mungai this morning. Now, this story, we essentially did it because one, Governor Mwangaza, again, is in trouble. But then on the sidelines of the DP weighing in on the troubles that are essentially bedefiling Mwangaza, he made another promise. Now, as power struggles continue to take center stage in Meru County, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has called upon county leaders led by Agriculture, Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi and Governor Kawira Mwangaza and her deputy to sort out differences and prioritize service delivery. Gachagua's rallying call comes at a time when the Governor Mwangaza dared county MCAs to bring on the second impeachment motion. Let's take a look at that story.
As the row between Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza and her deputy deepens, with county MCAs threatening to impeach Mwangaza for the second time, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has called on the leaders to solve their issues amicably, noting that neither him or President RUTO will meddle into the affairs of Meru County. Gachagua's sentiments come just a day after Governor Mwangaza, who was a no-show during the church service, dared the MCAs to bring on the impeachment. However, the second in command has called on the local leaders led by the governor and Agriculture CS Mithika Linturi to iron out the issues at hand and unite to better the lives of Meru residents.
Meru ikikosa maendeleo, rais na mimi tutahuzunika sana. Na kwa hivyo mimi naomba nyinyi ni viongozi, muongee na watu ya kanisa, muketi, please, mukubaliane how to rudisha Meru temperatures chini na tusipate aibu nikiwa mtoto wa Meru.
With Miraa being the backbone of Meru County's economy, Gachagua promised to organize a conference with key stakeholders in a bid to find more market for Miraa farmers, including across the country, terming anyone referring to Miraa as a drug as an enemy of Meru people.
And we want to tell you what we are nakada. Miraa is not a drug. It's a cash crop like any other. It's a cash crop. Hao watu wengi wote wamesoma na Miraa. Hii kanisa mumejenga na pesa ya Miraa. Kweli ama uongo? Miraa is a cash crop. Na anybody ambaye anasema Miraa is a drug is an enemy of the Meru community. Mimi niseme, mimi mnajua hakuna mtu mimi naogopa Mwenyezi Mungu peke yake.
The deputy president recently lamenting about the struggles in the hands of cartels, months after convening the first coffee conference in the central region, Gachagua once again reiterated the government's commitment in ensuring farmers can benefit from coffee farming.
The journey to liberate the coffee farmer is a difficult one, but it will be done. Nataka kuuliza wakulima wavumilie kidogo. We are almost there. Wamekuja kwa huyu Linturi kumuhonga na 30 million. Akawaambia watembee. Huyu si hawezi uza wakulima wa Kenya. Wamekuja kwangu kujaribu kunihonga. Ati nikubali mabadiliko isimamishwe, katika kilo wanipatie shilingi 2. Nikawaambia watembee. Sasa wamefika mwisho. We are almost succeeding. We are almost there. Wazungu wanasema the darkest hour is just before dawn. We are almost there. Another 3-4 weeks. Hii watu tutawaweka pahali wako. Nimekuwa Colombia, tumepata soko. Hivi karibuni kuna watu wanakuja kutoka Marekani ambaye tunaongea wanunue direct kwa mkulima bila kupitia.
Mr. Mungai, just on that final promise right there, you know, I will put it in different words, and if you allow me, wiki mbili tatu hivi. And that particular statement, Mr. Mungai, it's not something that you've not heard of. Guess who says that? Mwezi moja mbili tatu, wiki mbili nne hivi, mtaona mabadiliko. It is the president. Almost reading from the same script. That is another promise made right there. And I would like Prof and Ragalo to also deliberate on it, because I'm going to come to them. He's made profound statements right there, Mr. Mungai, that indeed is been approached to be given 2 shillings per kilo just to retain the status quo. He said no. Linturi as well has been approached, given 30 million shillings. Why can't he say, they approached me, I got all of them arrested? Because that right there is a deputy president admitting to corruption, that he's been approached by corrupt guys who, by the way, you do remember, the president gave him that responsibility to clean that out. But he has not. He's admitting to you that indeed he knows those people and he's done absolutely nothing to stop them. But then on the back end of that, he's made another promise. Tupatie wiki tatu nne. Mtaona mabadiliko. Okay, just as you weigh in on that, let's go to the first question that I asked you as well on these blatant statements that stand out as mistakes, Mungai, that the president is making. And I'll read you again. 500,000 to Arabia, 100,000 to Germany, 300,000 to the likes of Apple, Intel, and Google. And we counted with you off camera. If that is true, then we'll be talking about 1.2 million Kenyans, 1.25 million Kenyans will get jobs in the next couple months. Mr. Mungai.
Thank you, Ragalo. Not Ragalo.
Thank you.
I'm obsessed with Ragalo, Simba. You know, yesterday was Sunday. And it cannot be that every Sunday when we leave the church or when we are in church, the only book as a country that we specialize in reading is the book of Lamentations. I think there is need for us to open other pages of the Bible, such as Exodus, so that we can transition from one point to another. Now, having said that, you have quoted incorrectly what the president said with regard to the 300,000 jobs,
yes,
as promised by Apple, Intel, and Google. What he said in essence was that there would be 300,000 jobs emanating from the industry. Now, you are aware, as much as I am, that in the ICT industry, there are many jobs, and they vary from, in that specific sector, they vary from one place to another. For instance, for a long time we have had the Ajira digital program. You know, there are many young people employed in this country as a result of being online and doing online, what do we call them? These jobs where we do homework for assignments for students abroad and stuff like that. Yeah. So the ICT sector in itself employs a number of people, whether it's from the hardware part to the software part, and whether it's also in the artificial intelligence bit. We do employ a lot of people. And therefore, the president is not misplaced when he says that the sector is likely to employ, even from that ecosystem of Google, Apple, Intel, and the rest, to employ 300,000 people. But I must say, no, wait, Simba, wait, Simba. I must say, no, it was in the industry. But I must say, I have read the statement. I have read the statement, and I believe
companies, Mr. Mungai.
The backbone of your question emanates from a goof that was made by our foreign secretary with regard to jobs being in a certain country, and the foreign secretary to that country debunked the same and said we did not discuss. And sometimes what I find as a challenge is that the government officials are quick to pronounce issues which are under discussions as if they are issues of policy decisions. You know, sometimes we could be discussing something and you get so excited, and because policies and government bureaucracy takes time, you want to be ahead of the time, so you come and tell the Kenyan population, not that we are discussing this, but this is what we have agreed. And so we have seen those kind of goofs. But on this particular one of 300,000, I think we are misquoting the president. But let me go to the issue of coffee cartels and the issue of bribery. And it is important to, you know, I have heard the deputy president say that Mira is not a drug, Mira is a cash crop, which is correct that Mira is a cash crop. You must give it to the truthful man for always speaking the truth. But I must say this. Yes. The battle of fighting the coffee cartels has been protracted. It's not every government, when they come in, they have their guns on coffee, the milk sector. There are sectors that they want to transform based on the fact that a majority of the rural folk, especially in areas that grow coffee and tea, rely on those particular crops and milk. Now that battle is not easy. In fact, the only concern I have with regard to that, when he asks for 3 or 4 months,
actually weeks.
Or weeks.
Weeks, yes.
I would want that to, I know it's hopeful, but I would at least hope that he would even say 3 months. Because remember, there is a legal process already at the Senate, yes, at the Senate, regarding tabling of the coffee bill that is undergoing the parliamentary process.
And you like to think that he's aware of that, isn't it?
Yes, he's aware of the same. Yes. And don't worry, you know, we are also the government is also fast-tracking the bill, the NHIF bill. So in terms of it getting out of the Senate, the issue is neither here nor there. But my personal feel is that I feel this government wants to deliver very quickly, and I feel that sometimes they get entangled in the bureaucracy of getting to deliver things, and therefore, from a well-meaning heart, they make pronouncements very quickly of what they are trying to do, whereas they have not finalized on the final, you know, the final decision so as for them to make the pronouncements. Mr. Mungai, but as to whether the battle against the coffee cartels will be won, that I can tell you for free, we need to win that war for the sake of our farmers.
Yes, but the question that you're not really answering, Mr. Mungai, and I like the way he's crafting his answers around it. I mean, you have a DP and a CS Agriculture, Mr. Mungai, who are telling you the cartels that the president told us to fight are here giving us money. They are here trying to bribe us. But then you don't tell us, oh, we arrested them, they're in court, and there are cases that have been, where are they, Mr. Mungai?
Where are they? Let me answer that. And that's why I said, let's stop reading the book of Lamentations only. You remember last time when the president made a pronouncement against Rai, and the fact that, you remember the famous Mambo ni Matatu. You remember the next week that followed, cases that had been stuck in court for many years were actually withdrawn overnight. Okay? And that tells you that, you know, sometimes because of personal vested interests, we would rather the majority of Kenyans suffer and a minority of them put money in the pocket. But the deputy president is saying, in essence, this battle must be won. How? And this battle, already, remember, you see Simba, this comes,
please, it doesn't matter. Just for the sake of the audience, I want to give you an example, Mr. Mungai.
Yeah, please give me one.
Listen, I mean, if you've been told by the president, come in and get the people behind this problem, then out of nowhere, Simba comes and gives you 30 million. Is Simba not the person you're looking for?
No. I've always told you in this.
Listen. What are you looking for?
No. I have always told you. You see, it's not necessarily. It's not. No.
I'm not fighting you. I'm not fighting. I'm actually helping you.
No, I don't want to be helped. I don't want to be helped. I am not unable to explain myself.
When Thika Road Mall was stuck, and nobody could touch Thika Road Mall because there was a big man there who was preventing the road, the now big road to Thika. What happened? When the bypass was supposed to pass somewhere in Runda, then some guy had a house in the middle of the road.
But Thika Road was built. The houses were demolished. Exactly the same thing that is happening to cartels. Ragalo.
So if already you know,
the man arrested?
I'm giving you an example. If you already know, this is the house, this is the owner. This is the guy with the money, 30 million. He's giving it to Linturi. This is the guy.
Take him out.
So tell us, mwenye anatuletea pesa ni Eric Ragalo.
Yes.
Anakuanga kifanya hivi. Na wanse, ndio huyu kwa TV tumemuingiza ndani.
We've taken him out. No. Mr. Mungai, it looks quite simple,
you
isn't it?
So it does not.
How can a deputy president lament?
Why aren't you giving me time?
Pesa,
Mr.
Mungai, just 1 minute. I want to
You'll cross over.
Yes.
Now, these cartels, they are global cartels. The fact that someone has offered you 30 million does not necessarily mean they are sitting in Kenya. Okay? Now, that is to say, you know, Ragalo has given an example here of Thika Road, of whatever.
Yes.
The reason why the coffee reforms process are being anchored in law is so that next time we do not have a system that just comes and at their own whims, they decide to make pronouncements and change things midway. And that is why I said this battle of coffee has been protracted. It's not the first time. Even Uhuru came and set up a task force to deal with the coffee reform. So it's not a new process. But my submission is, let us not always lament and be cynical that when the government says they will do something, our first reaction and initial knee-jerk reaction
they will not do
is to imagine that they do not mean well for Kenyans. As coffee, because I'm a coffee farmer, as coffee farmers, we've suffered for a long time. In fact, right now, we have been paid the lowest in terms of per kilo.
Yes.
But that does not mean that moving forward, things will not get better. The reforms might take time, but I can assure you, the government, in my opinion, means well, and it is incumbent upon me to critique where I think they will not go right, but at the same time, to embrace reforms that might actually benefit the common man.
Pretty much, I'll be coming back to you on that. Prof, please help us understand. And this is what Mungai is also trying to also sort of help us understand in the studio this morning. One, Rigathi Gachagua says, look here, some cartels in that particular sector have approached me with money. And I said no. And it goes on to say, the same cartels have approached Mithika Linturi. They've told them, well, here's 30 million, let those reforms die. Well, we've said no. But then, Prof, it goes by their head to promise farmers, give me 3 to 4 weeks. I'm going to sort this out. So the question we're asking this morning, which Mr. Mungai is not answering, is if your job, Prof, was to end the cartels within that sector, and the cartels are here, now you've seen them, they're giving you money, they're communicating to you, why can't you stop them? Shouldn't the communication be, I got them, I took them out?
Well, it begs the question of whether those two gentlemen have the capacity to act. And the capacity to act comes in many ways.
Yes.
So, yes, when you raise the question, why did they not get those people questioned by the DCI or whichever the proper authority is?
Yes.
That means they probably don't have the capacity to weigh things and then act appropriately. Yes, it is true that cartels exist, and something needs to be done. When you have a DP or a minister saying they were approached by some people who should be under investigation with the offers to forget the investigation, then you question the capacity of officials, not the people who are trying to bribe them, but the officials themselves. Are they that upright or not? And if they are not that upright, what are they doing there?
Yes.
So what is the question? The issue is, where is the problem in that? Is it that they don't have the determination or the will, or they really don't know what the issue is or the challenge is? It is the admissions that they bring forth are the ones that raise questions about them.
Yes.
Because they should not be telling us that. The Gachagua said, yes, some people approached me and I reported to the DCI to do something about it. That's it. Linturi said, yes, I was offered this amount of money and I got the right official to deal with them. That would be in order. But to stop it, they are not saying what it is that they did about that attempted corruption.
Yes.
This is an attempt. Raises another question as to whether the people trying to bribe, did they know something about the character of these two people? So that they can go and say, here is the money, forget about it. So there are a lot of questions coming up that maybe Gachagua and Linturi needed to clarify to get themselves out of the mess, the jam they seem to have got themselves in.
Yes.
Do not think they are corrupt and all those things, but their judgment does not sound to be very good. So they needed to explain why that lapse in judgment have very high position
yes.
In government. If you add a little bit something else, there also seems to be dissonance within the government. If what we are reading is correct, the Minister for Trade is having differences with the Minister for Agriculture over developments in Meru, which is also very strange the way things are happening. So if it is true that the Minister for Agriculture asked the Minister for Trade not to go and open something in Meru because of some political disturbances, and the Minister for Trade refused, so says he's still going there, it indicates there is a lot of friction within the government that does not bode well for its performance and its image. So one of the things we can say is that the government has a big image problem. And it is true that not all bureaucrats are very enthusiastic
yes.
in doing what is expected of them. That is true. But then the image is terrible, and maybe President RUTO and his deputy need to sit and rethink what they project. These statements of making promises that cannot be fulfilled and that do not sound realistic indicate a major weakness in the government that loses credibility. And once people start losing credibility in the government, trust, then it is in deep.
Ragalo, you hear what the prof is saying? And I don't know how Mungai is going to get out of this. Because I told him I'm going to get back to him. Ragalo, even if you're telling me, give me 3 to 4 weeks, one of the things that I want to see is the radical movement in that particular area. Radical in the sense of every other thing that is not correct has to be corrected fast and not. Ragalo, make sense of this. You're looking for cartel. The cartel comes and gives you 30 million shillings. You still come back to me and say, oh, no, I refused. I'm not going to take that money. So what are you doing in terms of fighting this cartel? Is the cartel not the problem?
You know, what DP alinishangaza nayo ni Kiingereza. Nitaongea kwa Kiswahili. Kiingereza kikasema hivi, wakati kuna nuru inakaribia kuna giza totoro. Meaning is aware watu wa kahawa wako kwa giza totoro. So what is he doing about the giza? You know, choice of words is also very important.
Yes, sir.
And he said, give me 3 to 4 weeks. So I want to ask candidly, in the first 100 years, you said we're going to have a commission of inquiry to inquire government state capture.
100 days, isn't it?
100 days.
Yes.
We've never seen the commission. When was it established? I'm wondering. So if we give you 3 to 4 weeks, will you achieve? You said unga prices will drop to 120 shilling. Did it happen? You said we'll stop the leasing of Mombasa port. What have we seen the other day? Is Mombasa port not going away? Okay. So settlement of squatters in Taveta, in Kilifi, did it happen? Reduction of fuel prices, did it ever happen? 250,000 affordable housing every year. 2023, did we build 250,000 houses? But we are going to build 250,000 for 250,000 households in Kibera in 10 years. Will we achieve? Policemen, was their salaries increased 100%? Or it is 1,000 shilling, the one that was increased. You know, when you look at the promises being given and what is happening today, you really feel to cry. Employ 11,000 youths to plant 1.5 million trees in Nairobi. Do you remember that? Did it happen? Just like the jobs that were being told. Will it even happen? So, build 100 big dams and 1,009 small dams in the first year of 2023. How much is a dam for you to build 100 dams in Kenya in 1 year? Did it happen? So Kenyans, some things we are told is funny. But do you know what they achieved? The Standard tells me that there's a puzzle of a government living large. They achieved to buy new vehicles for everyone. They achieved to use a helicopter everywhere. Even from here to Ruiru, they'll use a helicopter. Just 20 kilometers here, they'll use a helicopter. Thicker here, they use a helicopter. Do you know how much gas a helicopter uses? It will fuel how many vehicles? Government spending went high. They were achieving actually to bring us 50 CASs. They achieved to give us very many, permanent secretaries beyond the number. They achieved a lot. So whatever they were telling Mama Mboga and Nani, they achieved in puzzle of government living large. So people will still be in the darkness before the light. That was the English of the DP. But the light already arrived to the executive. They are in the light. They are living large. How I wish I was here. I also want to live large. Because Kenya sahi ni mwenye anapata kula because wewe ukikosa wewe kaa kwa giza. When you tell people that Linturu was brought 30,000, me I was told 2 shillings per kg is what I'll be cooling. The people are telling you that, first of all, if it is an international company, that is a company that should be censored. You tell us and you censor it. Now it cannot do business in Kenya again. That alone is wrong. But when you tell Kenyans that happened and that is quiet, what are you telling us? Did you really refuse? Did you refuse 30 million? What happened? Kenyans need solutions. My friend is talking very well. We should not lament. But the book of lamentation is not the book of complaining. The book of lamentation is there because it is right you lament to God. We are actually lamenting because who is the head of Kenya? We know who and who. So we are lamenting to him to change the way they manage our country. But are they? They are not. They are equally assisting in lamentation vis-a-vis us lamenting. When the DP laments, how do you expect me to do? If he is lamenting against cartels, so what will I do? I'll not lament. I'll actually do the Luo thing. Nitapiga nduru. That is what is happening. So Kenyans are asking surely, right now, at this position, how is our position, puzzle of government living large? How is our economic position? How are our coffers? So, our coffers allow you to live large? If American president is riding on that vehicle, do you want also to ride in the same? If this guy can ride a V8, are you going to do a V8 the same? People are different. So Kenyans want to live the life of UK people, but they are in Kenya. That is where we are.
Yes.
And the housing will not make it. It is going to be kelele, 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 because those people who can afford those houses, they'll buy them.
Yes.
I'll give you an example, an obvious example, and I want to send the government. Go to Ngara here, the public servants' houses. Go in there, you see who live there. Are they public servants? It's a standard out to be a home for, I will not, someone may say that, naongea ukabila, but you go see people who live there. It's a community that has taken over that place. You are like, when they are the only civil servants, is one community. Go in Ngara. What happened to the civil servants that who were given the houses in Ngara? What happened? What did they do? Why did they sell out the house? Or why did they combolesha houses and then they moved? So is Kenya, are we, if even those people who are in the civil service, earning salary, well educated, are doing that, what do you expect with somebody who is low end? We need to balance people. Teach them the importance. Give them capacity. Build capacity of Kenyans. We may not need these houses, trust me. All we may need is capacity building. Then we can do so much.
Mr. Mugai, I want to get back to you on that. You heard what Prof said. Prof said there is a serious problem in the outlook of this government. There's a serious problem. Is that there's no synergy. It's a peer problem. Do you agree? Do you agree? Out of all this that we're talking about. And lastly then, Mr. Mugai, seriously, on a personal level, just like what Ragalo is saying, if it's a company that's offering you this money, if it's an individual that is ready to bribe a government official, Ragalo, Prof is saying, look here, then we need to start asking questions of these two individuals who are saying that we were approached for bribery.
And you kept quiet.
But then they turn around and then they don't tell us. We called on the DCI, they arrested the individuals are back in courts now. That case is developing. Or that particular company that approached us for that, we've already censored it as a country. That did not happen, Mr. Mungai.
I agree with Prof that the government is not short of maladies. And the biggest of them is their inability to communicate effectively.
Yes.
And especially when you have roadside declarations that are meant to be well thought out in terms of strategy. And I've said on this show before that the government's inability to communicate effectively will be their Waterloo.
Yes.
And having said that, the other challenge this government faces is that it has no shortage of advisors, but who sometimes, even us who, you know, support the government fully, and I've given you an example like the economic advisor. You know, sometimes when I'm alone in my house, I think, and I come from a family where we do not have prophets neither see us. So you must take what I say with a pinch of salt because it might not be accurate. But sometimes I feel when I'm alone that what Miguna was to the handshake brothers is what David D will be to this shareholder government. And I think that time is coming because clearly from an outsider perspective, because I'm not a government operative.
Yes.
From an outsider perspective, I can already tell that we are headed in the wrong hole in terms of our economic policies. And that is not to say that we are not in a hole which we, as the UDA government inherited. That is not to say the hole is already there. And I told you last time, the best thing to do when you find yourself in a hole is to stop digging. But I feel that when I see the dalliance and I see the camaraderie between the economic advisor and the IMF, and I see how nowadays we go to TV stations and Christian IMF as the savior and as the Jesus Christ that is going to offer us salvation, I get a bit worried. You might know, if you read the From Third World to First World, a book by Lee, one of the challenges they grappled with, even though the US was their ally, was sometimes the US, you know, sometimes they will want to meddle in your internal affairs. In fact, in the book he says they had to arrest a few government operatives who are actually working for the US to destabilize the country. And yet US was its strongest ally. And that is in the book, actually. I'm not even quoting it out of context. It's in that book.
I've read it.
And therefore, I feel that the dalliance that we have with IMF, I'm not saying IMF is bad, but I'm just saying it appears that we have been captured. Our minds have been captured, and we can no longer think outside the box in terms of how to economically improve this country. But I also feel because the clock is ticking, that, you know, sometimes the challenge is when you have someone as volatile as David D in your camp, you know the day you cut him loose, then there is going to be a volcanic eruption. And that is why I've said what Miguna was to the handshake brothers, in no time that is what David D will be to the shareholder brothers. But as I said, I do not come from a lineage where we have prophets or seers. Therefore, take that with a pinch of salt.
Gentlemen, I want us to move on to the last issue that we are going to talk about this morning in terms of the promises that the government is making or remaking, essentially. Prof, there is news here that I would like you to help us put into proper context. Now, as government came in and said that indeed we are not going to buy or import maize into the country. I said, Kenyans, listen, give us some time. We are going to go out and issue subsidized fertilizer. Give it a couple of months. You're going to see where the benefits are going to come from. Now, If you do remember during those times when there used to be a lot of maandamano in the country, the biggest get back for the government was like, oh, you guys have been out in the streets. But the same issue that you're complaining about, the cost of living, especially the price of maize in the country, give us 2 to 3 months. It's going to start coming down, because essentially now, majority of farmers have received a fertilizer, they've planted, and soon rather than later, this maize is going to hit the market, and you're going to see how the prices are going to come down. Prof, up to now, the prices are still high. In fact, the news that we have on the business desks and newsrooms is that, well, it's going to be like that for some time. It's not about to come down anytime soon. Guess what the government does, Prof? Goes back to the same plan that they had earlier said no to, import maize. This time around, cheap yellow maize is coming into the country. Prof, another promise or just an economic failure, a strategy failure, sorry?
Or maybe both. Economic challenges, failures, and promises that made no sense.
Yes.
The information that the country is going to be importing yellow maize is essentially a curse to the country. Because back in the 1960s, when there was an influx of yellow maize, which were called Gavirikari in the message was it should never happen again.
Yes.
Because it was an indication that you are not working, something is wrong, you are not planning properly. And since the impression that yellow maize is livestock food in America, and then so to be getting that one, but the country is in a real mess. So it comes in how we can point where you import Abirikari is become so incapable of feeding us.
Yes.
Abirikari, it is a curse. It's not very good for President RUTO. Yes, there were all those promises will happen, which indicated that they are not clear what they were talking about, not lying outright that they would happen. But, whether one can blame that to the drought, when the drought comes, the fertilizers make the land more fertile. There's no water, there's no rain to run things. The distribution of those fertilizers, well, there were issues here and there, but it left people wondering.
Yes.
So the infrastructure challenge, because there was time not too long ago when there was a lot of food in some part of the country, and people are starving in other parts of the country. So that's the logistic challenge. So we need to look at the whole thing from up and see what's going on, where are the weaknesses. Because we should not have starvation in one country and then starvation in another. That's what just the poor plan.
Yes, pretty much. Vagalo, it's a big one. Now listen, I mean, we knew very well that indeed that promise was going to be quite specific. And they drummed support around it. Now, let me take you back to our website on www.lookuptv.co.ke, and this is a story that we covered as early as July 26th, 2023. Remember, this is during that period when we're talking about, well, you guys were in the streets, we were harvesting. Mm-hmm. Good. And this is what they said, and this one miller, Mr. Nyagao, said that consumers may continue to pay more for maize flour despite the influx of maize from Uganda and Tanzania and early harvesting in parts of Western Kenya. All right? And this is what they're saying, that the cost of flour could remain above 200 shillings per 2 kilogram packet, as millers want to exhaust stocks of old maize before reviewing prices to guard against losses. That indeed, there are other economic factors in between here that essentially we had to factor in. And it continues to say that indeed what was going to stabilize our flour prices in the country was that maize that we're expecting from Uganda and Tanzania, not essentially locally produced maize. But also a couple of months later, after the president said, well, we've got to stop. It's not okay for us to import maize into this country. And you're going to see, give us a couple of months. And in fact, they said in 3 to 4 months. It's been 3 months.
Brother, when we were told there was sugar coming from Mexico to Kenya, within a night, the sugar was in Mombasa port. We wondered how close was Mexico to Kenya.
Yes.
When the government tells you that we are going to import yellow maize, my friend, it could be just here. Imebakia tu kuingia kwa kisiagi. In 1997, I ate yellow maize. In 1984, there was yellow maize. But 1997, I ate yellow maize. And we were in secondary school. We had just come from El Nino. It has chappered our country thoroughly.
Yeah.
There were no roads, steamers zimeanguka. Our country was literally ripped off. And we were in dire need of food. All our foods were being swept by rain. We were in dire need of salvation. And we were into the campaigns, but hungry country. What did you expect Moi would have done? Moi requested for help. And help indeed came. There were sachets you'll be given, written USAID. There were dried food. There were dried peas, dried carrot, dried sukuma in one kapepa. So your function was to open, unaweka kwa maji, una boil tu kidogo imekuwa chakula. We ate that in secondary school. They were actually coming in lorries. Let me give a story, because majority of people today, they never met them. Then yellow maize were coming in gunias. And salad ilikuwa inapimwa. Mulikuwa mnaenda pale Grao, Ruiru. Mnapanga line, mnapewa salad, mnagawana. We were in dire need. Remember, we had a rain that had crushed us. And then after El Nino came La Nina. Dryness. So we really had to look for food. But now we are in a situation here. Do we really need that food? No. We had bumper harvests. Okay? Per se, as the government says to us, that us, the Azimio people, Eric included, we were in the street doing maandamano. And the same big people were doing pictures holding corns everywhere in Kenya. In fact, those pictures went viral. Mtu ameshika mahindi, mwingine ameshika mahindi, mpaka watu wakaanza kushika anything around. Do you remember the pictures? Hata ungeenda ushike mahindi barabarani. You know, and when you see Kenyans doing that, ujue wanakuenjoy. Wanakuambia wacha kutubeba, wacha kutubeba. But they are doing it. Then, now we are being told, mahindi hakuna. My mother ametoa mahindi kwa shamba Siaya. Amechuma mahindi na ikajaa magunia na akabeba kwa lori. Nashangaa. Unaniambia mahindi hakuna, na mamangu ametoa mahindi juzi. Mimi nimelima mahindi. Mahindi hakuna namna gani? Gala imejaa. Hii mahindi unaleta. Of course ungetuambia mahindi mlilima. Tuleteni mahindi, haitatosha. Tuna need metric ton moja tuongezee. Lakini hatutabeba hii ya yellow. This is low standard. Wacha tuende Zambia, another big producer wa mahindi, ama tuongee na Uganda tununue kwao. Realistic. We are in the same region. We call ourselves COMESA. We can buy from each other with no taxation. Duty free. Then why do you get another duty free maize from America that will go too many miles to reach Kenya? Uganda here ni gari zinavuka tu. Na kuna mipito mingi, kuna Busia, kuna ile Eldoret tuko juu, Malaba, zitaingia kwa wingi. Secondly, hii mahindi unaleta itapika githeri. Because what Moses Kuria said last time was a very serious issue. We should also look at it. Nyinyi mnatuambia story ya mahindi too much as if it is the staple food for the other communities. The question is, sorghum. Do we have sorghum? Do we have millet? Do we have cassava?
Yes.
Can they make ugali? Of course, yes. Unless a Kenyan has never done cassava ugali, has never done sorghum ugali,
yes.
I'm wondering, have we finished to look at what we have at our dispensation? What we have around us? Have we clearly finished our natural wealth to go outside? Our natural wealth we have is cassava also. Yes. We have a natural wealth in sorghum. We have a natural wealth in millet. Before we go for that mahindi, what other supplementation can we have? Are you looking at that? I don't disagree with mahindi coming. It's important to feed your people. But before you go out of your country, have you clearly finished everything? The next thing we'll have, and it's going to be painful, he's saying he's not a prophet of whatever, but me, I'm a prophet. We're going to have mahindi, zenye zinaharibika kwa magala, then there will be aflatoxins on us. The same way we had aflatoxin mahindi in Jubilee regime. And we made noise on it. We are going to have aflatoxin mahindi because now you're bringing the other one, but this one you've not even finished. Bado kuna mahindi zimesimama kwa mashamba.
Yeah.
Sahi watu wanalima msimu ule short, yes, ya mwezi wa 9. Na hii msimu bado watu wameharvest. So ni mahindi gani ingine tunaangalia? Unless you're going to handle aflatoxin in the next 6-7 months, tutaambiana mahindi yenye imeharibika, imevuka, imekuja. Like ile mahindi tuliambiwa ilitoka sijui gala gani, ilienda ikasiagwa na tusha kule, ilishaisha story. What happened with that? Kuna mtu alishikwa cause vitu zilipotea kwa magala Thika na zilienda kwa matumbo yetu. Kuna mtu alipatikana. Hiyo kesi ilienda wapi? Are we going to have a same one? My brother tells us not to lament, but it's also good to remind ourselves as we lament how our country tunajifinyanga. Now we are talking of high cancer levels. How? That was an issue I saw the other day. Even here you are talking about cancer. How did high cancer level comes? When you take aflatoxin, what are you taking? You're taking cancer. People should be told the truth. What are the causes of cancer? One of them is aflatoxin foods. So the minute we are still killing ourselves, then healthcare is too expensive. NHIF is going to change to something else. Things are not just working, but we will still continue doing the mistake round and around.
Mr. Mungai, 2 minutes. Actually, that's what we have. Is it a failure that now we're importing maize into the country when we said we need to stop that strategy? They said we need to support our farmers locally to produce it, and then we sustain our population right here. Just 2 minutes.
Thank you. I don't know why you've given me 2 minutes and you've given Ragalo almost half the show. How? But yes, this is what happens in national elections. But the reason why I know we've gone, the government has gone back to that strategy of importing maize. But you know, this year, the government was getting back to strategic grain reserves. Because for a long time, we've not had, grain reserves in this country. We had depleted everything. And so we need first to stock up on that. And then secondly is that, we consume a lot of, as Ragalo correctly puts it, someone put it in our mind that we always have to consume maize. and therefore, despite how much we produce, it is not enough because like in every week, a household will consume ugali like 3 or 4 times in a week.
That's it.
But also, so long as maize and sugar is a commercial venture, we will always import them.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, that is the time that we have. I mean, I like the way Regalo says it. That's the way we end it. That's the way we end it. All right, guys, take them back to the time that they joined us online and Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. I saw by their question. My phone is a bit. Let me go get it. I gotta say that just before we step out. One of my fans from Nakuru. I gotta say this. This is to you, Mr. Mungai. I gotta say this. Wow. Hopefully, I don't lose that time. Well, here it is. This is Kevin saying that I've never seen a politician like Regalo. This is supposed to say it. Hold on, yours is coming. I like the way he approaches the issues this morning, but I dare say, if we give him time to get into government, he will be the one who will be fought. This is for you. This is for you, Mr. Mungai. I gotta say this. Evans, thank you very much for watching as well. Evans is saying, kama mtu ameshikwa. Rigathi Gachagua na Linturi wafukuzwe kazi. Hawaja report mtu aliwapatia bribe. DCI and the president should act immediately. Makes sense, isn't it?
I agree.
Good. All right. Guys, I'll see you tomorrow for another edition. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. This is The Morning Drip. Goodbye.